Review of the new SureFire SOCOM556-MINI4 suppressor. I'll go over the specs, why I chose this, changes from the past generations, considerations when choosing a suppressor, and compare it to the Huxwrx Flow 556 and other competitors. Their first flow-through mini can. New muzzle design significantly reduces frontal flash detection, improved durability from physical impacts, and improves flow. 100% Inconel super alloy construction, so there's no more stainless steel. Very durable material, helping with heat and erosion resistance. CNC welding at the top and at the bottom. Glossy Cerakote finish. 60% less back pressure compared to conventional baffle stack designs. RC4 has an S-curve internal baffle and bypass design. RC3 had central peripheral venting. Claims to have the finest flash suppression. Mini 4 will perform long after others. Now that is true. These are some of the longest lasting cans on the market. Less gas to the face, wear on parts, cleaning, running firearm, and better recoil management. Optimized for use with open tine flash hiders, 3-prong, 4-prong, and 3-prong war comp. Fireball issue with the RC3 is SureFire didn't disclose that you're supposed to use open tine devices with their suppressors. So the muzzle brake, closed tine flash hider, and closed tine war comp was shooting fire out of the front, which hasn't been my experience using the 3-prong flash hider with the RC3. It's done pretty well. I wouldn't recommend the 3-prong war comp because it has no labyrinth seals, which makes it easier for the suppressor to be carbon locked to the muzzle device. Gas can leak out of the locking collar of the suppressor and can cause higher decibels from your shots. The line of carbon buildup shows the prevention of gases leaking out of that locking collar because of those labyrinth seals. I would eliminate the 3-prong war comp as a viable option. Has the same fast attach system. I'll push this lever in, rotate the locking collar all the way until it stops. Line the suppressor indexing notch up with the muzzle device indexing tab. When it's all the way open, that screw will be lined up with the indexing notch. Slide it on all the way until it seats. Rotate the locking collar and you'll hear it start to ratchet. Same for removing, pop that open, swing it off all the way, pull it off. It's a really easy, fast attach system. A big deal about the Mini is that it is now marketed as flash performance being optimized for 10.3 inch barrels or longer. The RC2 was marketed as optimized for 14.5 inch barrels, so it can be used for 10.3 inch barrels. It just won't be as quiet or have as good flash reduction as the full size would. Same diameter at 1.5 inches, which is the widest point of the base, but if you go down to the end, it's obviously a lot less than that. 5.5 inches in length, adds 3 inches of length to the weapon depending on your muzzle device. Listed as 15 ounces on the website, I'm getting 15.4. It could just be my scale. Out of a 10.3 inch barrel shooting M855 62 grain ammo, we're getting 142 decibels at the shooter's ear. SureFire doesn't make the quietest suppressors, it's more in the mid-range. Flow-through suppressors in general are slightly louder. Cost $1,377, suppressor removal tool. I prefer to use something like a welding glove because there's not much dexterity with this, although you can make it happen. The full size is about $100 more, which is in the mid to high end range of suppressors. Their two suppressors were their traditional baffle stack. They went to their first flow through design on the 3. They haven't changed a whole lot in design besides the flow through and switching to 100% Inconel. 2 has the closed top with the ridges that are pretty much flush with the bore. This would be considered a high back pressure can. 3 has the same center, but they opened up the outside for the flow through venting. Then the 4 essentially put a cone on top and they added a mini 3-prong to the tip. Complaint on the RC3, even when using an open tine pronged muzzle device, is that if you were downrange or had night vision on, you could still see flash from these outside venting areas. By enclosing the outside, making this hole smaller, and adding that 3-prong, you're going to get a lot better flash performance. Compared to the SureFire RC2 Mini 556, it's half an inch longer, 2 decibels louder because it's flow through, same weight at 15 ounces, and it costs $150 more. Unless you want the shortest SureFire suppressor and to save cost, as long as the RC4 continues to perform well or even decently, I think it makes the RC2s obsolete because of the flow through. This is pretty much a paperweight at this point, which is disappointing, and I wouldn't recommend the 7.62 Mini 2 for 556 anyways because it's overboard. Having less gas is much more pleasant to shoot, and my gun has run cleaner using the RC3 than without a suppressor, let alone compared to the RC2s, which would now be considered a high back pressure can, which makes the gun even more dirty. SureFire suppressors don't do everything perfect, they do everything good and then focus in certain areas. If you want the lightest suppressor possible, like titanium, you can commonly see sparking. If you want the quietest, it typically gets longer or heavier. Pros of the RC4, what I like and why I chose it: focuses on flash suppression, which it does a phenomenal job of. SureFire is one of the best brands at achieving consistent flash suppression. Even with the issues on the RC3, I've still had good results using a 3-prong flash hider on this BCM 11.5, which is a gassier upper. As suppressor technology technology have advanced, sound and gas reduction have become more of a priority. I'm all for less gas and sound, but I don't think focusing on Supersonic 556 being hearing safe is necessarily logical at this time, even though we're moving in that direction. You might be able to shoot off around outside without ear pro, but if you pop one off in your hallway, you're probably going to blow your eardrums out. It still has potential for first round pop or first round flash, which is possible with all suppressors as oxygen can get trapped inside, but besides that, they stay pretty consistent at almost no flash. Durability is a focus. These are known for being tanks and combat proven, considered the gold standard for durability and flash suppression. Point of impact shift is very minimal, being an inch or less at 100 yards when removing and putting the suppressor back on. A very overlooked and not talked about factor. If I don't want to use the suppressor and I throw it back on, how far is it going to be off? 3-prong flash hider is a great standalone muzzle device when not shooting suppressed and does a phenomenal job at reducing flash. Longer 2.6 inch length offers pin and welding all the way down to 13.9 inch barrels. Great fast attach system. It's easy and simple to take off and swap between guns. Good flow through, reducing 60% of the gas. Also has the gold standard for suppressor life. These being flow through might not go that much. Low maintenance cleaning suggested at 10K rounds, but can go further. Full Inconel construction reduces thermal signature and visibility under nods. The cons is going to be slightly more expensive depending on what you're comparing it to. Other popular competitors are $1,000+ on the heavier end of the suppressor market. Possibility for carbon lock, which can happen on all suppressors. Cleaning the muzzle device, periodically taking it off or applying anti-seize can mitigate this. If it's truly locked on there, you might have to or can shoot it off. And the tuning fork sound on the open tine devices. Some people find it annoying, but it doesn't bother me. When I'm shooting, I don't notice it. My main comparison to this was the Huxwrx Flow 556K stainless steel. After looking into it, I was surprised how much it had been bandwagoned to the point with companies pre-installing muzzle devices on rifles. While it's the industry leader in flow-through, it doesn't do a good job at suppressing flash. I would call it more of a gas suppressor or a flow-through device. The focus is obviously low back pressure and the reduction range of 90%, but this is where we can see how over-focusing in an area greatly affects other areas. The main issue is consistent sparking even on the stainless steel version, but especially on shorter barrels and even more pronounced on the titanium version. Point of impact shift of 2.3 inches at 100 meters. I assume once it's zeroed, it's supposed to drop down to half an inch at 100 meters. I asked Huxwrx customer service what the flash and gas reduction percentage was, and they had no numbers they could give me for it. Significant baffle erosion and cracking. Again, this is more pronounced on the titanium versions, but can still happen on the stainless steel. Suppressor can start to glow very fast after 2 to 3 mags, creating a thermal signature. High flow through and stainless steel is going to cause this. Huxwrx 556 QD flash hider isn't a great standalone muzzle device. It's pretty loud, but does decent at reducing flash. Recommended cleaning cycle is very low at 1500 rounds. If you want to prolong the suppressor life, you could push that off to 2500. Shorter suppressor life depending on cleaning schedule and your barrel length. Even though it's marketed for short barrels like 10.3, it erodes them faster. 10K round lifespan without cleaning and 40K with regular maintenance. Pretty loud suppressor because of max flow through. Pros is it costs $1,153 with the muzzle device, $225 less than the RC4 Mini, and $400 less if you have to buy the muzzle device. Left hand threaded, so it tightens itself while it's shooting, which makes it less likely to come off than other threaded suppressors. Wrench flats to thread it off if it gets carbon locked, but you'd have to carry a wrench on you. Main pro is having the best flow through, least back pressure suppressor, which I think it boils down to a gas reduction device that makes shooting more enjoyable. Since suppressors are NFA regulated items, which makes them very hard to sell, or having to take a significant loss on them up to half the cost, it hasn't been something I've wanted to take a chance on, like the 7.62 Mini 2 that I don't use. There's many other suppressors that look and perform great. Silencer Co. Velos LBP, Cat Whitebread, Ridgeback Rody 6, and Exigent Defense. Some of them are newer and not as proven, especially compared to SureFire. Everyone hopped on the Huxwrx train, and from an overall suppressor standpoint, it looks to have done at least somewhat poorly long term, so I'll be interested to see how these others do. I don't have the time or money to buy, test, and take chances on suppressors to see if they're good or not. At this time, I'm not a fan of hub mounting because of tolerance stacking and unknown performance when mixing products, leading to more potential for error. Also not a huge fan of QD threaded muzzle devices because of carbon locking, loosening under fire, which tapered helps with that. Typically have very short blast chambers, which only allows for very small muzzle devices that do terribly unsuppressed. Some come with brakes or compensator combinations. Even if it's a flash hider, it'll still do poorly at reducing flash and be very loud. Silencer Co. Velos low back pressure can has a good mounting system like SureFire with a 3-prong flash hider and the quick detach system. Does great with flow through, but starts to glow fast, and it's not the best at flash reduction. Cat, Ridgeback Defense, and Exigent all have terrible standalone muzzle devices with the choice of their QD threaded or hub mounting. With flow through and flash suppression, they seem to perform great, but it's hard to tell without a longer history and documentation. SureFire might not be the best for you or the characteristics you're looking for. I'm sure one of these other options would serve you well. The suppressor market is becoming a never-ending rabbit hole with new ones coming out rapidly. Companies not doing deep testing and having unclear information makes it hard to make a good decision. If you want to see more videos like this, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to help support the channel, and thank you for watching.